friends, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to share with you my recommended reading list. Getting back into reading and I'm excited, so I thought I'd share with you some possibilities. I did have someone ask me the other day if I recommended some books, so I thought I'd share in case you're interested. So I have some of these books in my personal library, and then some I will just give you the title of, and I have ordered on Audible. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. This book, first book, Rebel with a Cause, which is Franklin Graham's autobiography, and I read this years and years ago. I kept it because I just loved it. He has a tremendous story. It is the story of redemption because, as you may know, he is the son of Billy Graham. And it just tells about how he really rebelled against his Christian upbringing and how he came back to know God. But he has a wonderful, wonderful story, and then about founding Samaritan's Purse, which is his humanitarian slash Christian ministry. And they've done tremendous work all over the world. In fact, they set up a hospital in Times Square. So, or no, Central Park in New York during this COVID-19. So he is a tremendous speaker and author, very poignant, very, just, you'll be blessed by him, very blessed. So I recommend this book, Rebel with a Cause. And then the other book that he wrote that I really enjoyed was called The Name by Franklin Graham. I read these years and years ago and really enjoyed them. I just thought I'd read the back panel of this book. I love it because it's so good. It says, "The name shouts a choice. Whom will you serve, give up your life to, and depend on? Rebellious, self-willed, sinful people want to retain the right to decide themselves what way they will take. Jesus denies this option. Speaking on his behalf, the Apostle Peter said, 'There is no other name under heaven given among men by which we must be saved.' It says, Jesus is gentle, but he is not weak. He loves the sinner, but is absolutely intolerant of sin. He is not a negotiator. He is Lord." And this was just such a good book. Highly recommend that. And then The Hiding Place. This is a classic by Corrie ten Boom. If you've never read this, I would encourage you to do that. So many valuable life lessons here. Truly, she was someone who really learned how to make the best of a horrible, horrible situation. Of course, she lost her sister, who was also in the concentration camp during Nazi Germany in World War II, and so many truths here. This is something that we can really apply to our lives today. She did speak all over the United States up until her death, and such tremendous lessons in forgiveness. She learned to forgive even the guards that were in the concentration camp. So really a great life lesson there. Another book that I really enjoyed was 90 Minutes in Heaven by Don Piper. Have you guys heard of this one? This was a great, great book of God's mercy. He was a pastor. He was on his way to a conference and when he was hit, and he suffered, I think he had like over 40 surgeries. But boy, he has some good truth. So 90 Minutes in Heaven by Don Piper, excellent read. And then Philip Yancey is one of my favorite authors. But this book, what's so amazing about grace? Let me tell you, his grace is amazing. His grace is sufficient. But this book, Philip Yancey has written many, many books, but this book, this is a very good one for just everybody to read. Those who need grace and those who need to extend grace, which that's everybody. So highly recommend. And then the next one, I have 3 by Andy Andrews. This book, The Noticer, this is one of those books that I did not want to end. It's fiction. However, so good. Highly, highly recommend. If you don't read that one, and another one I will recommend are among my top. But I have The Noticer, and then The Traveler's Gift by Andy Andrews. And then another one is The Heart Mender. He is an excellent storyteller, and he travels around speaking. But I would say of the three, The Noticer. That is my very favorite. Just, you have to read it. Read it, get it. Probably you could even get it from the library. Check online. That's an awesome thing. If you have a Kindle, you can check out library books online. So even if your library is not open. So that's a good option. And then the last one that I actually have on hand is by Condoleezza Rice. And this was an excellent book, Extraordinary Ordinary People. And it was about her parents, her life story. It's a memoir of family. And of course, growing up, I believe it was in the 50s. She has a wonderful, wonderful story to tell. I've also read a biography written by, I think it was Felix somebody, it was called Condi. And it was an excellent book on her, and I highly recommend her. She's a fascinating character, very articulate, a former professor, and her father was a professor as well. So she grew up in a very intelligent home, a home where she was encouraged that she could do anything, that she could be president of the United States. And while she did not become president of the United States, she did serve in government. So great story. And then I have a couple titles that I would like to recommend that I have purchased on Audible. The other one that is among my top is a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. This book has been so good. I rarely want to reread a title, but that is one that I am currently in process on my Audible subscription. So highly recommend that one. It's just talking about how daily small steps can really add up, atomic being small. And then a book that I just purchased yesterday called Fortitude by Dan Crenshaw. And he is a former Navy SEAL, and he is currently a congressman from Texas. And this is a book really about tenacity, about never giving up. And of course, he lost one of his eyes, I think it was his left eye, when an IED exploded. But then he went on to serve 2 tours of duty because he refused to give up. So I'm looking forward to reading that book. That's fascinating. And then another book is called Pep Talk. And that is written by Terry Savelle Foy. And it is just a book about the power of your words. And I wrote down Proverbs 23:17. It says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And then Revelation 12:11, we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So it's important to speak the words that we want to materialize. Speak words of life. The Bible says that the power of life and death is in the power of the tongue, right? So I'm looking forward to reading that. And then another book, we attended a Bible study based on this book by Max Lucado, and it is called Anxious for Nothing. A great title for these times, but that is a great read as well. I listened to that on Audible and really enjoyed it. It's a light, short read, so recommend that book. And and then I downloaded this book on Audible called Little Things by Andy Andrews. And basically the premise is that life is in the details. So again, Andy Andrews does not disappoint. You won't be disappointed at all. So these are the titles that I would recommend. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of them, if any of them sound interesting to you, and I will see you soon. God bless. Happy reading.